If I told you to list all the Square Enix games that took too long between announcement and release, you'd probably be able to make a very long and valid list of games from Kingdom Hearts 3 to Final Fantasy 15 to Final Fantasy 7 Remake. This has been a very common issue for Square Enix, especially with the Final Fantasy series. And in the case of Final Fantasy 16, people were already preemptively thinking that the game isn't coming out anytime soon. However, Square Enix is making sure that this is not going to be the case with Final Fantasy 16, as shockingly enough, basic development and scenario production for Final Fantasy 16 is already complete. This new information comes from the recruitment page on Square Enix's career website, with the page saying, quote, "We have already completed basic development and scenario production, and are continuing to create large-scale resources and build boss battles while expanding our various development tools. Also, most of our staff are carrying out their work remotely." First of all, it's good to know that the developers are working remote rather than at a crowded office where 200 or 300 people nowadays can work on a AAA title at once and still be able to stick to schedule so well. This is also the case with Final Fantasy 14, as Naoki Yoshida has confirmed that their team is also using an at-home work development environment. Square Enix is currently seeking the final staff to help complete the world of Final Fantasy 16 with various stages and fields, large-scale cutscenes, character actions, and so on. And if you're looking to work on Final Fantasy 16 yourself, the recruitment page says that, quote, "We are looking for people who have experience in action games and people who have experience in producing high-quality graphics for HD games. This is a particularly rewarding task for those who are greedy for their career advancement. Environment production, cutscene production assistants, animators, VFX, etc. are being recruited for this particular emphasis." So honestly, this game is knee-deep into development, and I'm super impressed with how much they've already gotten done. The game has reportedly been in development for about 4 years now, which means that they started around the time that Final Fantasy 15 came out, more than likely. And it seems like the team has been super focused and are working hard to be able to deliver us this game in the near future. You know, I can't help but say that they're moving really smart with Final Fantasy 16 compared to how some of the previous titles have been from announcement to release. Final Fantasy Versus 13 probably being one of the most prime examples. When the game was announced, pretty much nothing outside of the CG trailer was done for the game. And it's just like, why would you announce a game when you have literally nothing done of it? A pretty similar case was also true for Final Fantasy 13. The game's initial trailer was made using concepts and designs to present what they thought the game might look like. Of course, in reality, there was nothing really done on the game. And then the exact same situation happened with Kingdom Hearts 3. The game was shown off only a year into development, only so that they could lose that year of development once they decided to switch from their proprietary Luminous engine to the much more proven Unreal Engine 4. Final Fantasy 7 Remake, again, the exact same situation. They announced the game 1 year into development. Then they ended up having issues with the developer that they contracted, CyberConnect 2, and they presumably lost or had to rework some amount of work. And we still honestly don't know how much was actually kept from the project in that phase. And honestly, due to how sensitive that information is, we probably will never fully know. But the point that I'm ultimately making here is that Square has a long history of doing this. And so for Yoshida and his team to say, hey, we're not announcing this game until we have a completed product. And when we show that game off, we'll show off gameplay and all these other things that make it look like a completed product. Because it almost is at this point. It inspires me to have so much more faith in them to just show some pre-rendered trailer like they always do and then flash a logo on the screen, which honestly was exactly what I was expecting them to do for Final Fantasy 16's reveal trailer. Full honesty, this is why they've gained so much more of my trust when it comes to Final Fantasy 16. It does seem like with this game, they're taking a completely different route than what we'd normally come to have expected from them. This may sound weird to say, and it probably doesn't make any sense, but with 15 and 7R, the emotional circuitry in my brain was excited. But with Final Fantasy 16, I feel like a logical excitement for it. Does that make any sense to anyone? In either case, Ultima, I want want to hear from you. Are you excited to hear this news about Final Fantasy XVI? Subscribe, click the bell icon, and let me know in the comments below. And if you value this channel, you can support it by either A, checking out the Twitch for the Night Sky print where I'm currently playing Final Fantasy XIV, or you can consider becoming a patron like Kenton Hamilton, who helps keep this channel going and growing. So if you want to join the amazing group of people like Kenton here, be sure to check out the link in the description below. Shout out to Kenton and the rest of the Ultima community.
But flames that burned full bright soon fell dark. Memories dimmed by shadowed hearts.